The struggle for survival. The stars stretched endlessly around them, cold, silent, empty. The exiled humans drifted in the void, their massive colony ships floating like forgotten wreckage. They had been cast out from Earth, betrayed by their own people, and left to die in the darkness of space. Food was running low. Water supplies were shrinking. Oxygen levels were dropping. And worst of all, there was no hope. Captain Elias Carter stood on the bridge of the Ark, staring at the endless black outside. His crew was exhausted, their eyes sunken with hunger and fear. They had been traveling for weeks, hoping to find a habitable planet, a station, or even a passing ship. But there was nothing. The radio crackled. A weak voice came through. It was Dr. Mira Voss, the head scientist of the Exiles. "Captain, we have a problem." Elias sighed. "Just one. We are running out of air faster than expected. If we don't find a solution soon, we won't last another week." Silence filled the bridge. The crew already knew the truth. They had all felt it. Their breaths were becoming shallower, the air staler. Panic had begun to spread among the people in the lower decks. Some whispered that they had been cursed, that this was their punishment for daring to oppose Earth's rulers. But Elias refused to give up. "Keep scanning," he ordered. "There's got to be something out there." Hours passed. Then days. The stars remained cold and distant. Every time a sensor beeped, hope surged in their hearts, only to be crushed when they realized it was just another dead rock floating in space. Then, on the fifth day, everything changed. A sharp alarm echoed across the ship. Unidentified object detected. The crew jumped to their stations, scanning the readings. It wasn't a planet. It wasn't a meteor. It was a ship. Elias's heart pounded. A warship. It was old, drifting without power, its hull covered in battle scars. Symbols of an unknown alien race were carved into its metal surface. The crew stared at the massive vessel, fear and excitement mixed in their eyes. "What if it's a trap?" Mira asked. "What if it's our only chance?" Elias countered. They had no choice. With what little power they had left, they sent a small team aboard the alien ship. The airlocks creaked open, and the boarding party stepped inside. The ship was dead. Dark corridors stretched in every direction, lit only by flickering emergency lights. The walls were covered in strange markings, messages from a species long gone. Corpses lay scattered across the halls. Alien warriors, their armor cracked, their weapons still clutched in bony hands. A battle had taken place here, long ago. But against whom? And why was the ship abandoned? They moved carefully, searching for anything useful. Then, deep inside the ship, they found it, the engine room. And that was when they saw the impossible. This was no ordinary ship. Its engine was unlike anything the humans had ever seen. Advanced, powerful, faster than light technology. If they could get it working, they wouldn't just survive. They would thrive. "Can we fix it?" Elias asked, barely able to contain his excitement. Mira examined the controls, her fingers moving over the strange alien symbols. "I don't know, but I'll try." The team worked for hours, patching wires, rerouting power, and deciphering alien codes. And then suddenly, light flooded the ship. The warship came to life. Its systems rebooted, engines humming with energy. The sensors detected planets, stations, and even other ships in the distance. The possibilities were endless. Elias smiled for the first time in weeks. This wasn't just survival. This was the beginning of something greater. The humans had been exiled, abandoned to die. But now they had the key to their future, and the galaxy would soon learn what it meant to betray humanity. First contact and first war. The warship hummed with energy, its ancient systems awakening after decades, perhaps centuries, of silence. It was a relic of a forgotten war, a weapon of a long-dead species. And now it belonged to humanity. On the Ark, The exiled humans watched in awe as their new ship powered up. Dr. Mira Voss ran a full diagnostic, her fingers moving swiftly over the alien control panels. "This technology," she whispered, "it's more advanced than anything we've ever seen. If we can understand it, we can build more." Elias Carter stood beside her, his mind racing. This ship changed everything. They had been outcasts, starving, hopeless. Now they had something more valuable than gold, a fully armed, interstellar war machine. But where there was power, there were always enemies. The first signal. The warship's sensors detected something, a beacon, pulsing in the void, an alien distress call. The crew debated. Was it a trap? Was it a warning? Or was it an opportunity? "We should investigate," Mira suggested. "It could be dangerous," Elias said. "Everything we do from now on is dangerous." He couldn't argue with that. With a deep breath, Elias gave the order. "Let's see who's out there." The ship's faster-than-light engines roared to life. For the first time in history, humanity traveled beyond the reach of Earth. First contact. They emerged near a massive wreck, a battle site floating in the blackness of space. Two ships remained. One, a sleek, golden vessel, barely intact. The other, a massive warship covered in jagged black armor, still active. As soon as they arrived, the black ship turned. It had noticed them. Then, without warning, it fired. A bolt of plasma shot toward them. The battle had begun. Humanity's first war. Elias barely had time to react. Evasive maneuvers. The warship twisted through space, dodging the deadly blast. The crew scrambled, rushing to their stations. They were about to fight their first battle. And they had no idea how to use their new ship. "Weapons online," Elias barked. "Trying to activate them," Mira shouted. The enemy ship fired again. The hull trembled under the impact, alarms flashing red. Then, their ship fought back. The alien warship's automatic defense systems engaged, launching a barrage of energy blasts. The black-armored enemy twisted, trying to dodge, but it was too late. The shots tore through its hull. Explosions erupted inside the enemy ship. It drifted, lifeless. Silence followed. Humanity had just won its first interstellar battle. A new threat. The golden ship, now free from its attacker, sent a transmission. An alien face appeared on their screen. It was humanoid, with pale silver skin and glowing violet eyes. The voice that followed was deep and commanding. "You are not one of us. Who are you?" Elias took a breath. This was it. First contact. "We are human," he said. "We were exiled from our homeworld. Now, we survive." The alien studied them. Then, it spoke a single sentence that changed everything. "You do not realize what you have just done." Elias frowned. "What do you mean?" The alien's eyes darkened. "The ship you destroyed belonged to the Zarkon Dominion. You have just declared war against the most powerful empire in the galaxy." The crew froze. Humanity had won its first battle. But now, they had just made their first enemy. And this enemy would stop at nothing to destroy them. Rise of the human empire. The air inside the command deck was thick with tension. Captain Elias Carter stared at the alien figure on the screen, silver-skinned, violet-eyed, and far too calm for someone who had just been saved. "You don't realize what you have just done," the alien had said. And those words echoed in Elias's mind like a warning from the abyss. The Zarkon Dominion, the most powerful empire in the galaxy. And now, thanks to a single battle, humanity was on their radar. A cold weight settled in Elias's gut. "We need to move. Now," he ordered. Mira Voss, still analyzing the alien warship's systems, looked up sharply. "Are you sure? We don't even know where we are. We don't have time to figure it out. If this Dominion is as powerful as he says, they're already on their way." The silver-skinned alien, Commander Valen of the Azari Syndicate, watched them carefully. "If you run, They will hunt you. If you stay, they will destroy you. Elias smirked. Then we need a third option. First lesson. War is the only language. The humans had no choice but to ally with Valen and his people, the Azari. In exchange for saving their ship, the Azari shared information about the Dominion, about the galactic powers, about the brutal laws that govern the stars. And one truth stood above all others. You are either a conqueror or a slave. There was no middle ground, no diplomacy, no mercy. The Zarkon Dominion ruled with an iron grip. Any species that resisted was exterminated. Their technology was unmatched, their fleets endless. But humanity had something the Zarkon didn't understand. They had nothing to lose. They had already been exiled, abandoned, left to die. They had been broken once, and that meant they could never be broken again. So Elias made a decision. Humanity would not run. They would fight. The first human fleet, using the alien warship's technology, Dr. Miravos and her engineers worked day and night, learning how the ship functioned. They modified it, improved it, and turned it into something uniquely human. The ship was no longer an alien relic. It was the first battleship of the Solar Dominion. But one ship wasn't enough. Valen, impressed by their determination, offered them a hidden Azari shipyard, a place abandoned after a war with the Zarkon. There, humanity began building its first fleet. They stripped apart derelict ships, salvaged weapons from the wrecks, and engineered a new class of warships. Faster, stronger, deadlier. For the first time in history, humanity had the power to fight back. The Zarkon's arrival. Then, it happened. The Zarkon came. 3 massive warships, each the size of a city, emerged from hyperspace. They carried the weight of an empire, each one capable of destroying entire planets. A transmission came through. A monstrous figure appeared. A towering Zarkon warlord, his skin like black stone, his eyes burning red. His voice was pure authority. You are vermin. You have stolen what does not belong to you. Surrender, and we will make your deaths quick. Elias stood before the screen, unshaken. You exile us to die in space, he said, but you made one mistake. The warlord sneered. And what is that? Elias stepped forward. You let us live. Then the humans attacked. The battle that changed everything. The first battle of the Solar Dominion was a desperate fight. The humans had fewer ships, fewer weapons, and no experience fighting an empire. But what they had was willpower. They fought with ruthless precision, hitting weak spots, using guerrilla tactics, attacking with an unpredictability that shattered the Zarkon's calculated war strategies. The battle raged for hours. The void was filled with fire, explosions, and the dying screams of Zarkon warriors. And then, against all odds, the humans won. One by one, the Zarkon warships exploded into fire and debris. The last enemy vessel, crippled and burning, tried to retreat. Elias gave the order, no mercy. With a final barrage, the last Zarkon ship was reduced to nothing. The battle was over, and humanity had just done the impossible. They had defeated the undefeated. The galaxy takes notice. Word spread faster than light. The exiled humans, once considered nothing, had crushed a Zarkon war fleet. Other alien races, many of whom had lived in fear of the Dominion, began to take interest. Some saw an opportunity for rebellion. Some saw a new enemy to destroy. And others, watching from the shadows, wondered if humanity might become something even more dangerous than the Zarkon themselves. Elias stood aboard the bridge of his flagship, staring at the wreckage floating in space. They had won today, but war had only just begun. The Solar Dominion expands. The battlefield was silent. Drifting wreckage, shattered warships, and the floating remains of the Zarkon fleet served as grim monuments to the impossible. Humanity, once exiled, starving, and desperate, had just defeated the greatest empire in the galaxy in open battle. And the universe had taken notice. The message to the galaxy. Elias Carter stood at the command deck of his flagship, his gaze fixed on the holographic image of the war-torn battlefield. Behind him, Dr. Mira Voss, the mind behind their rapid technological advancement, studied the sensor readings. "This was a victory," she said, "but not a war." Elias nodded. "No, but it was an introduction. And now, it was time to send a message." Using the alien warship's powerful broadcasting systems, humanity's first galactic transmission was sent to every known sector of space. The message was simple, clear, and unbreakable. To those who call themselves rulers of the stars, humanity was exiled, betrayed, and left to die. We did not die. We conquered. We do not kneel. We do not surrender. If you wish to test our strength, come. But know this. We are no longer outcasts. We are the Solar Dominion. The message shattered the balance of power in the galaxy. For the first time, the mighty Zarkon Dominion was not feared. Something greater had emerged from the ashes. Something new. And not everyone welcomed it. The Zarkon's wrath. The Zarkon, humiliated and furious, wasted no time. A high warlord was dispatched, a commander whose very name sent entire civilizations into terror. Varakal the Eternal, the Butcher of Worlds, the warlord who had never lost a campaign. His orders erased the Solar Dominion from existence. Unlike the First Fleet, which had underestimated the humans, Varakal brought an armada, hundreds of warships, thousands of warriors, and he did not arrive alone. He called upon the great houses of the Zarkon Dominion, powerful alien warlords who had remained neutral until now. If humanity had proven they could fight, Varakal would make sure they never fought again. The fleet moved swiftly, cutting across the stars, tracking the humans back to their new stronghold. The Solar Dominion had built their fleet in secret. Now, they had to hold the line against extinction, the first human world. In the days before the enemy's arrival, humanity made a decision. They needed a home. For too long, they had drifted. They were outcasts, nomads in the void. But an empire needed a capital, a world to defend, to call their own. And they had found one. A planet deep within the ruins of an ancient star system, the place no other empire had dared to claim. Erebus Prime. It was harsh, deadly, but it had everything humanity needed. Rich in resources, defensible, and filled with the wreckage of long-dead civilizations waiting to be salvaged. Here, the Solar Dominion built its first city. Factories roared to life, warships were forged, and the scattered humans across the galaxy answered the call. For the first time since their exile, humanity was no longer running. They were building. But even as cities rose and fleets expanded, they knew what was coming. The Zarkon Armada was approaching. And this time, it would be war. The alliance of the damned. Elias Carter knew one thing. Humanity could not win this war alone. The Zarkon Dominion ruled through fear, but now, that fear was cracking. Across the galaxy, species who had been enslaved, conquered, and oppressed by the Dominion watched humanity rise, and some of them wanted revenge. Elias and Mira reached out in secret. They sent messages to every race that had ever suffered under the Zarkon, every broken empire, every shattered people, every outlaw, rebel, and warlord who had been crushed beneath the Dominion's rule. And the response was unexpected. They came. Ships, warriors, and leaders from the shadows of the galaxy answered the call. The Azeri Syndicate, the rogue Varkosh mercenaries, the outcast war clans of the Brak Thun, species who had nothing left to lose. Together, they formed the Alliance of the Damned. The Solar Dominion would not face the Zarkon alone. This war would not be fought for survival. It would be fought for conquest. The Zarkon Armada arrives. When the Zarkon fleet finally arrived at Erebus Prime, they expected a slaughter. They found a fortress. Planetary defenses roared to life, anti-ship cannons turning the sky into a graveyard of fire. Human warships, sleek and advanced, moved like ghosts through the void, ambushing the Zarkon from angles they had never seen before. And then, from the darkness of space, the alliance of the damned struck. Alien warbands, mercenary fleets, and exiled warlords unleashed chaos upon the Zarkon's once unstoppable armada. The greatest empire in the galaxy had walked into a trap. And in the heart of the battlefield, aboard the command deck of his flagship, Elias Carter gave a single command: burn them all. The battle for Erebus Prime had begun, and humanity would not just win. They would conquer. The war for the galaxy. The sky above Erebus Prime burned. Zarkan warships, monstrous and ancient, blotted out the stars as they descended upon the planet. Plasma cannons fired in blinding streaks, turning the upper atmosphere into a storm of fire. This was no mere battle. This was annihilation. On the ground, the warriors of the Solar Dominion stood ready. For the first time since their exile, humanity was not running. They were not hiding in the shadows. They were facing the enemy head-on. And this time, they were not alone. The First Galactic War begins. From the blackness of space, the Alliance of the Damned struck with vengeance. Azeri battle cruisers, sleek and deadly, weave between the Zarkon behemoths, unleashing pinpoint strikes on their engines. Brak-Thun warbands, massive reptilian warriors in stolen Dominion ships, boarded enemy vessels, turning corridors into blood-soaked slaughterhouses. Varkosh mercenaries, former assassins of the Dominion, jammed the enemy's transmissions, cutting them off from their command structure. And in the center of it all, the Solar Dominion's fleet moved with precision and fury. Human warships, reverse-engineered from alien technology, outmaneuvered the Zarkon's massive dreadnoughts, striking at their weak points with ruthless efficiency. Elias Carter stood aboard his flagship, the Revenant, watching as the impossible unfolded. Humanity, once exiled, was now winning a war against the greatest empire in the galaxy. But the battle was far from over. The wrath of Varakul. On the bridge of the Zarkon command ship, Varakul the Eternal watched the battle with cold, calculating rage. This was not how it was supposed to go. The humans were supposed to die screaming. Their allies were supposed to be shattered, crushed under the might of the Dominion. Instead, the Zarkon were losing. But Varakul had not ruled for centuries through strength alone. He had a plan. With a single command, he activated the Obsidian Protocol. The superweapon awakens. Deep beneath the surface of Erebus Prime, something stirred. Buried for millennia, hidden beneath layers of rock and time, a relic of an ancient war began to wake. It was not Zarkon technology. It was older, darker, forgotten even by those who once ruled the stars. A world breaker. The Zarkon had found it long ago, but had never dared to use it, until now. The ground trembled. The sky darkened. And from the depths of the planet, something unnatural began to rise. The fall of Erebus Prime. In an instant, the battlefield changed. The Zarkon warships, once struggling, pulled back with unnatural precision. The Alliance forces hesitated. Why were they retreating? And then they saw it. A monolithic black structure, miles high, breaking through the planet's crust. It hummed with energy not of this universe. A single pulse of crimson light rippled across the sky, and then Erebus Prime itself began to break apart. The Exodus. Elias Carter stood frozen as the readings came in. The planet was dying. The ancient weapon, whatever it was, had been designed to consume entire worlds. We have to evacuate. Now. Miravos was already ahead of him, coordinating retreat protocols. Ships scrambled to escape, engines flaring as they raced against the apocalypse. The humans were not alone. The Azari, Brak-Thun, Varkosh, all of them abandoned the battlefield, retreating to the depths of space. But Elias knew the truth. This was not a loss. This was a lesson. The Zarkon Dominion had just shown its hand. They were willing to destroy entire worlds to win. which meant humanity would have to do the same. Retaliation. Erebus Prime was lost. But the war was just beginning. Elias Carter, standing on the bridge of the Revenant, stared at the ruins of their first homeworld. Mira Voss stood beside him, her voice quiet. "We can't fight them like this. We need something stronger." Elias clenched his fists. "We're not going to fight them like this," he said. "We're going to fight them on their own terms." He turned to his officers. "Find out what that weapon was. Find out how the Zarkon got it. And then..." He looked at the burning wreckage of Erebus Prime one last time. "We build something worse. The dawn of the Solar Dominion." In the months that followed, humanity disappeared from the war. No battles, no transmissions, nothing. The Zarkon believed them broken. But in the far reaches of space, in hidden shipyards and abandoned stations, the Solar Dominion was evolving. New weapons, new ships, new tactics. The humans did not just want to win. They wanted to erase the Zarkon Dominion from history. And soon, when the Solar Dominion returned, they would not come as soldiers. They would come as conquerors. Humanity's revenge. The galaxy thought humanity was dead. After the fall of Erebus Prime, no one had seen or heard from the Solar Dominion. No transmissions, no battles, no movements. The Zarkon Dominion declared total victory. To them, humanity was nothing more than a fleeting rebellion, one of many species who had tried and failed to rise against their rule. But the truth was far more terrifying. Humanity had not vanished. They had evolved. And when they returned, the stars would burn. The silent rebuild. In the farthest reaches of the galaxy, beyond the mapped territories of the great empires, the Solar Dominion was not hiding. They were preparing. Deep space shipyards, built within the ruins of long-dead civilizations, worked day and night forging the most advanced warships humanity had ever created. Weapons more powerful than anything the Dominion had ever seen. Stealth fleets designed to vanish into the darkness of space and strike without warning. Artificial intelligence-driven warfare systems capable of adapting in real time to any enemy tactic. And most importantly, the Omega Protocol. The Omega Protocol, humanity's ultimate weapon. The loss of Erebus Prime had taught humanity a brutal lesson. The Zarkon had access to ancient superweapons. But what the Zarkon never realized was that Erebus Prime wasn't the only planet with forgotten technology buried beneath its surface. The Solar Dominion had spent months scouring dead worlds, searching for weapons of their own. And they had found something. Something far worse. The Phantom War begins. It started quietly. A single Zarkon supply fleet vanished without a trace. Then a Dominion-controlled mining station exploded under mysterious circumstances. High-ranking officials in the Zarkon War Council were assassinated in their own strongholds, their bodies left with a simple message carved into the walls. "We are still here." The Dominion grew uneasy. For centuries, they had been the hunters. Now, they were the hunted. The first invasion, when the Solar Dominion finally revealed itself, it wasn't with a battle. It was with an execution. On the planet Velkarish, a key Zarkon industrial hub, millions of Zarkon civilians, soldiers, and warlords gathered in what was meant to be a celebration of their empire's eternal rule. And then, without warning, the sky opened. Hundreds of Solar Dominion warships emerged from hyperspace right above the city. Before the Zarkon defenses could react, the bombardment began. It was not just a battle. It was an extermination. Weapons unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen unleashed pure destruction. Sonic disruptors turned entire city blocks into dust. Quantum warheads erased enemy fortresses as if they had never existed. And from the darkness, the Ghost Fleet struck. The Ghost Fleet, humanity's final evolution. The Zarkon had always relied on their size, power, and overwhelming numbers. They never imagined an enemy that could not be seen. The Ghost Fleet, a division of human warships equipped with experimental cloaking technology, able to phase in and out of visibility, became the ultimate nightmare. The Zarkon defenders fired blindly into the sky, but they were already dead. The Ghost Fleet moved through their ranks unseen, surgically dismantling their forces before anyone even realized they were there. And at the center of it all, the Revenant. Elias Carter's flagship led the charge, cutting through the Zarkon armada like a blade through flesh. What had once been a battle for survival was now a hunt. And humanity. They were the predators. The message to the Zarkon warlords. By the time the battle ended, Vel-Karish no longer existed. It had been completely erased. The surviving Zarkon warlords, once so proud, now faced the brutal truth. Humanity was not just alive. Humanity was stronger. And the Solar Dominion did not want peace. They wanted vengeance. A final transmission was sent across the entire Zarkon Dominion. Elias Carter himself spoke, his voice cold, unwavering. You thought you could erase us. You failed. We were exiled, hunted, and broken. But we did not die. We learned. We adapted. And now, we have returned. He leaned forward, staring directly into the camera. You built an empire on the fear of others. Now, it is your turn to be afraid. Then the transmission cut. The war had begun. But this time, it was not a war for survival. This was a war for extinction. The fall of the Zarkon Dominion. The war had become a massacre. For centuries, the Zarkon Dominion had ruled with absolute power. They had enslaved species, burned planets, and crushed civilizations under their boots. They believed themselves invincible. But now, they were running. Entire Zarkon fleets fled before the advancing Solar Dominion, abandoning strongholds they had held for millennia. Fear had consumed them. The galaxy, once terrified of the Dominion, now whispered a new name in hushed, fearful voices. Humanity. They were no longer the exiled. They were the executioners. And their final target. The Zarkon homeworld. The final Zarkon defense. Deep within their empire, the Zarkon's high warlords gathered on Varakul Prime, the capital of the Dominion. For the first time in history, they were afraid. Every fleet they had sent against humanity had been annihilated. Every world they tried to defend had fallen. And worst of all, they didn't even know how many humans were left. The Solar Dominion fought like ghosts. They appeared from nowhere, struck with terrifying precision, and vanished before the Zarkon could react. Entire planets surrendered before a single shot was fired. They knew resistance was useless. The War Council was in chaos. They are monsters, one of the warlords roared. They are patient, another said grimly. They are studying us. They are making an example of us. Then the room fell silent. Because in that moment, the sky above Varakul Prime turned black. The Solar Dominion arrives. The invasion of Varakul Prime was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The entire Solar Dominion fleet arrived at once. Not just hundreds of warships. Not just thousands. Hundreds of thousands. A fleet so vast it blotted out the sun. For the first time in their history, the Zarkon Dominion looked up and saw their own extinction. Then the bombardment began. A war without mercy. The Zarkon launched every last defense they had. Their fleets fought like cornered animals, their planetary defenses firing desperately into the void. But it didn't matter. Humanity had perfected war. They had learned from every species they encountered. They had adapted every weapon, every tactic, every battle strategy. And they fought with no mercy. Orbital rail cannons shattered enemy strongholds in a single blast. Quantum disruptors destabilized entire cities, turning them to dust. AI-piloted drones hunted survivors with relentless precision. The Ghost Fleet, now at full strength, tore through enemy lines without being seen. And at the center of it all, the Revenant. Elias Carter's flagship descended through the burning skies, leading the final charge. Humanity had been betrayed. Now, they would erase the ones who betrayed them. The end of the Zarkon. In the final hours, the once mighty Zarkon warlords begged for peace. They sent desperate messages. They offered surrender. They offered their fleets, their wealth, their very empire. Elias Carter said nothing, because there would be no peace. The Solar Dominion's goal was not conquest, it was erasure. And so, one by one, the warlords were executed. The great cities of Varakal Prime were wiped from existence. And as the last Zarkon stronghold fell, Elias Carter stood at the heart of the burning planet and spoke his final words to the dying empire. This is the price of betrayal. With that, the Zarkon Dominion ceased to exist. The new order of the galaxy. In the aftermath of war, the galaxy was silent. No empire had ever been destroyed so completely. And now, humanity stood alone at the top. But they did not rule through fear like the Zarkon had. They did not enslave. They did not demand submission. They simply existed. And that was enough. Because now, the galaxy knew a simple, undeniable truth. Humanity was unbreakable. They had been abandoned, exiled, hunted. And yet, they had risen. They had not just survived. They had conquered. And as Elias Carter looked out at the vast empire his people had built, he smiled. Because he knew this was just the beginning.